It's now time for Issues and Attitudes.
And a very good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Issues and Attitudes. My name is Jeff Owens, Interim General Manager at WEIU. Today we're going to be talking to Coals Together. Angela Griffin, President of Coals Together. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
It's been quite a while.
And I know this young lady, Kasey Considine, one of the your new employees. She's Marketing and Communication Specialist. Welcome, Case.
Thank you.
So appreciate you coming in on this nice, pleasant summer day. I know we want to get to some stuff, but I want to talk a little bit about this latest bit of news that came out a couple weeks ago is with the Trailmobile and how that transpired and what happened with the Trailmobile and where we're going with that.
Sure. That was one that's been a long time in the making. We've been working on that project for 3.5 years. We are happy that we're finally able to announce it, that the transaction took place. It's going to be a while before they get that building in shape and they're able to start doing something in there that's productive. But once they do, we're looking at 75 new jobs and close to $7 million worth of investment out there.
Can you take us through your part, Angela, about how you got to kind of ink the deal, for lack of a better way to say it?
Sure. Well, like I said, it started about 3.5 years ago, and I found this group at a trade show. They didn't know they were looking for a building at the time, and we convinced them that Charleston had a building that, if they were ever going to expand, could probably accommodate their needs. They eventually came out, saw it, agreed. It was in rough shape, and there aren't very many uses for a building that big and that old, but they're going to do industrial recycling on site, and so it made sense for them. They're going to put rail back in service. They're going to do a lot of repairs, probably $4.5 million worth of repairs, and then 18 to 24 months start adding jobs.
It's awesome. And so you hope they'll be open here in a couple of years,
Yep.
basically. So
Yep.
Now, we didn't get to talk much beforehand, so I'm not trying to put you on the spot too much, but you also said possibly when you came in today, there'll be some more other breaking news of a Mattoon place. Is that good, bad, or indifferent?
No, it's good, and I'm going to go ahead and let you know. Yep, we are happy to announce that North American Lighting is joining the corporate landscape in the Coles County area, and they'll be moving into a building in Mattoon very soon. They are also adding jobs. They'd like to be in production this fall. It's a really quick timeline that they're working under.
They're based out of Paris, correct?
They're based out of Paris. They have operations in Paris, Salem, and I'm drawing a blank right now. One other Illinois city, and they're just growing. They're growing, and they needed to expand, and so there's a facility in Mattoon that they're moving into, 30 to 40 jobs to start this fall, and then over the next year, maybe 75 to 100 jobs. So,
can you say where they're moving into yet or not?
they've not given me permission to do that,
Okay.
so I really want to be respectful of them.
I understand.
But no, the good news is that deal is inked, to use your word,
and
they're here.
Yeah, that's a big company.
Yeah,
good company.
I mean, between the two of those, and then we've got another one on the horizon in Charleston, one of the existing manufacturers that's expanding. They're going to be adding 20 to 30 jobs and then a second shift with their expansion. So a lot of potential for new job creation, a lot of capital investment, strong movement forward in the county coming out of the pandemic.
For folks who are not familiar with what North American Lighting does, can you give us a synopsis?
Sure, they make lighting products for headlamps for cars.
Well,
Yep.
If you've ever been in their office, it's really cool. They have all the different styles and varieties on that wall there. And I remember I was in there waiting for a meeting. Actually, I think I was with Rob that day, who was doing the TV side today, and we were just sitting there looking at all the different things. You don't think how many different lights there are on vehicles, but every different nameplate has its kind of their own special, unique lighting.
Yeah, and it's nice that we'll have that in Coles County because they are a long-term, strong company. They aren't just, starting operations or sticking their toe in the water. They know what they're doing. They'll be here for a while. They have plans, if it works, that they double the size of the building they're going into and continue to grow here.
That's great. So it seems like we were waiting for a long time for some good news, and now it seems to be catapulting on top of each other. Do you feel the same way? I mean, in Coles County, I know, after the Future Din and then the collapse of the economy and everything, we had just a run there of some bad news, but now it seems like great news is happening.
Yeah, I think we do. We're seeing good things, aren't we, Kasey? All of our manufacturers are hiring. Some of them are adding new product lines. We had a meeting this morning. Lester Buildings was represented, and they're so busy there they can't keep up. They've moved into a larger facility in the last handful of years. They've filled the yard with product. They're cranking them out as fast as they're getting supplies in. So everybody that we work with is doing well. They're hiring, and business is strong for them.
And you've obviously hired Kasey to do some of your marketing communications. Kasey, tell us about your first year or so on the job here.
It was a little weird because of COVID, so I was really only in the office for about 6 weeks until everything got shut down. But it's been really neat to see how marketing has changed just within the last year, and we've really tried to push our Facebook page. We put a lot of new information and a lot of Coles County news. We get a lot of articles from JGTC, and we do some marketing for some of our manufacturers, posting job openings and different things like that. And so we've been working a lot with that and reaching out to new businesses and hoping that they'll join our community and be involved in Coles Together and things like that.
I always like to play dumb, which isn't hard for me. But let's say there's a brand new person to the community and they have no idea what Coles Together is. Can each of you kind of describe what Coles Together is and does for our community?
Sure. Do you want to?
Yeah, let's put Kasey on the spot. There you go.
Great. I always tell people that it's the economic development organization for Coles County, obviously, and we work on bringing new businesses, new manufacturers into the community, and we also help them once they get here. We don't just bring people in and then say, here you go, you're here in the community. We're helping you throughout the whole process, helping people when they're looking for grants or different opportunities throughout the community, different people to work with, contractors, things like that. We're helping get them connected within the community, and we just help businesses come to the area, but also help them grow and flourish in the area.
Yeah, I'd say that. I'm glad you mentioned that, Kasey, because that's really important. That's as important as the recruitment part, the retention. And for instance, with GDB, they're here, but they're not physically here yet. So we've connected them to many other businesses in the community. I mean, they have made a commitment that they're going to be a corporate citizen that buys locally, invests locally, uses local resources. And so we've been able to connect them to 3 general contractors, a couple of subcontractors. They've purchased all their insurance needs in the county. They're buying other types of services that they need in the county. So, we stay involved and engaged and help connect them to the resources that they need, so that it's not just those initial jobs that get created, but there's a lot of spin-off job creation and spin-off activity as well.
Can you take us through the process of, like, when people are looking for new communities to move into? That seems to be the easier side of it because they're coming to you. But do you also go out and search constantly for maybe businesses that you think are going to want to expand, or how does that process work?
Yeah, we do that. I mean, we have a retention program, so we work with the companies that are here, because if they're going to expand, we want them to do it here. If Mars is going to add another line of dentistics, we want that to happen here. But for instance, in the case of GDB International, which is the name of the company going into Trailmobile, so we sort of keep in our mind's eye what the requirements might be for different industries, different manufacturing types of entities, and what their needs might be, and the resources that we have here that can support them. And so with GDB, for instance, I decided, they may not know they need us, but I think that they need us. And so I went to a trade show that wasn't even a trade show for site selectors. There was no one else there like me. There were no communities represented. It was kind of a business to business for industrial recyclers. And then just, as we talked about earlier, said,
You crashed the party.
I did. I crashed the party. I walked the floor. I told them, everybody is hopefully growing and you're doing business with each other because you're looking toward the future. If you're going to do that, you're going to want a building potentially to do that in. And so we just try to understand what the unique needs are of the sector or the manufacturer that we might be targeting, and then take to them the case that we can meet those needs in Coles County. And things like, resources like what Eastern Illinois University are able to provide, and Lakeland Community College, and the healthcare system that we have here is really important to manufacturers. So there are so many attributes to our county being centrally located, not just in Illinois, but in the country. I mean, the distance to reach certain percentages of the population within a day's driving miles or 2 days driving miles is really extraordinary here. A lot of our sites are served by Class 1 rail. So we just take all of that mix of attributes to them and then make the case that we can help them be successful here. And we always talk about the ones that are successful. So, being able to say that, Mars Pet Care and Mattoon Precision and these other companies are not just located here, but they've put expansions here means a lot as well.
One of the things that you talked about there a little bit is we have to have workforce. And right now, a big topic across the country is workforce not wanting to work or not coming out to work. Are you confident that there is enough workforce in the Coles County and surrounding areas to supply these new employers, top quality individuals to work?
It's a struggle. You're right, and it is not unique to us or to Illinois.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah. And it's in every sector. It's not just manufacturing, it's retail and hospitality and commercial and professional services. What we're really excited about, and I would hate to put people on the spot that aren't even here, but I think you should invite the Mattoon School, the leaders of the Mattoon School District to your show, Christy Hild and Tim Condren, to talk about what Mattoon's doing with the Career Center, the Innovation Center.
I'm on one of the committees, so yeah, we've been talking and
good.
Yeah, so yeah.
That things like that are the solution. Charleston School District and the Mattoon School District have been proactive for years prior to this Career Center being able to get off the ground. They were forward thinking at a time when other districts weren't. They were both awarded pilot projects to implement competency-based education in their schools to begin to give students skills and career paths into trades or into professional positions, whatever their desire is, but to develop those kinds of skills early and then to develop leadership skills early, no matter the sector that a student might be interested in, or even if a student's planning to get the highest degree possible, developing leadership skills. And so we've been working with the districts for well over 2 years to do that. And then Kasey and I both serve on the Manufacturing and Construction Task Force for the Career Center. That's not going to fix the problem overnight, but that is part of the solution. And it is innovative, and it's ahead of what other communities are doing. That, and then having the skills training that Lakeland can offer to manufacturers and to industries that can be specialized in on-the-job training.
And they've
as
been
well.
partners with National Lighting forever, right? Lakeland, if I
Yes.
recall, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
LIFT is what they're going to call the Regional
Yep.
Innovation Center now, which, is kind of cool, and I think it's going to be neat, and we've been on that committee and talking about some things like that. When you see things like that happen, that's the good news. Now, I don't say this is bad news because everybody has their opinion, but over the past week, the Mattoon and Charleston chambers didn't merge. Do you see that as a negative, or is there any way we can swing that to the positive? As we talk about everybody working goals together and the Mattoon and Charleston working together, but when the two chambers decide they shouldn't merge, I think it's the second time that they've both voted. They've voted that down. Do you see? How do we spin that? I guess is the best way for me to ask that. Maybe the marketing specialist over here, Case, can you help that, or is that one thing you thought about?
I would say, obviously both chambers are pretty successful separately. It would have been really nice for the community to come together and be able to use resources from both towns to benefit everyone in the end. But I think moving forward that it got voted down, so you just have to move past that and keep moving forward with it. And I think and Mattoon, Ed does a great job of working with everyone, and obviously Charleston, unfortunately Jessica's not coming back, so Ed will work well with anyone in Charleston and work on still doing events together and things like that. So I think that it'll be good moving forward for the most part.
Good answer.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think there's a lot of collaboration in the county, even outside of that effort. It's unfortunate that it failed. It kind of leaves Coles Together as really the only countywide organization, but there are a lot of groups that work together. The cities are working together very well. The mayors and the city administrator Kyle Gill and the city manager Scott Smith, they all work together well. The chambers work very well together. We have a group that gets together every other month with the cities, the county, the chambers. So people understand the value of collaboration, and just because there isn't a formal organization that can house that right now doesn't necessarily mean it would have made it easier, but doesn't mean it won't get done.
Yep. On your website today, I also noticed again, there's still a lot of great sites that are unfortunately open for businesses who want to come. How do you market them through the website? Do you is there a national clearinghouse that you can send the sites to, so people that are looking to expand? How does that work?
Yeah, both. We have our website, and then we participate in several other national databases as well. One's called LOIS. Ameren operates it because they'd, of course, like to see development in their service territory. We work with the state of Illinois. They have a database that they house sites in, and then there's a public-private organization at the state level called Intersect Illinois, and so we work with them, and all of them have databases where we promote our sites.
I saw with the Coles County Economic Development Organization there is on your website, they had a $320,000 grant to support some things. Can you talk about that? Either of you?
Say that again?
It was the grant to support businesses. The
regional.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, no, we're excited about that one too, and we, in fact, have a meeting this afternoon to talk with a few people about how we're going to get the word out on that one. So we won as part of a 6 economic development organizations came together and applied for a community navigator grant.
Okay.
And we won that, and $320,000 is what will be split among the 6 organizations. And so we'll use that money to do outreach to businesses that are still struggling to come out of the pandemic and help them apply for new programs that are being made available from the federal stimulus bill, I guess, that there is money that has passed through the state agency to these Navigator grant recipients, and then we'll be able to help businesses apply for probably the first program they're going to be announcing is one called the Back to Business, the B2B.
Yeah.
And so our role will be to facilitate applications, to provide technical assistance, to do outreach just so businesses know this money is out there.
That's cool. Are the businesses that are successful in Coles County but still can't find enough employees? Do they come to you and ask for help, or what's their process of the help? Where do you stand in that process?
Yeah, occasionally. Unfortunately, there's no real central clearinghouse for that, and we tried to create that, like Kasey said, by allowing anyone really that wanted to post openings to do it, and we'd share it on our Facebook page and try to get people talking and connecting with each other. But there are so many different groups that are trying to help connect job seekers with open positions that it's not an effective way for people to find employment or for employers to find employees, but we do try to help when we can.
So, Kasey, after you were hired, it was 6 weeks into it is when COVID kind of hit, and then you guys had to kind of change your game plan. Can you take us through a new employee, COVID, and how was the process to get from there to here? Can you take us a little through that, some of the stories or how you operated? Because COVID affected every business differently, and I'd love to hear those stories.
I think for us it was more of being able to communicate and just say, this is what I'm working on, this is what you're working on, and a lot of the things that I was working on were still on the computer. I think my email had only been set up for 2 weeks at this point, and I didn't have any access to the computers at work, and I just had my personal laptop at home, and so we were kind of working back and forth that way, and we did have a lot of Zoom meetings to start with, a lot of Zoom meetings with just a lot of different people just trying to figure things out. And for me personally, being at home was hard because all 5 of us were at the house working and our Wi-Fi was not very good. So we had email issues all throughout the beginning of COVID where I would send things to Angela and she just wouldn't get them, and it was a whole mess. So we had a lot of technical difficulties to start with, but then we started getting back into the office mid-summer last year, just every other day, switching off. We couldn't be in the office together. So that was hard, and there was a lot of days where she would call me and be like, hey, just go home for lunch. I have to be in the office in the afternoon, or we need this, and this. Can you email me this? And so it was a lot of adjusting, but for the most part, I felt like we had a good system down by the end of it, and then it was really nice to come back to the office, and we were in the end of April, early May of this year was the first time we were full-time, and it was really nice to be back in the office. So
there you go. Some other things, I was going to go through some things that are on top of my head about businesses. The GE building, is there any news on that, or is anything that's happening? I was forced to ask that question by a friend of mine today.
No, it's fine. It's a question that comes up a lot. General Electric will not dispose of that building. We've had 2 solid leads. One ready to walk through, really negotiate for the building and some of the equipment that might have been left behind, and GE just has not made a disposition decision on that building. They're letting a broker with CB Richard Ellis handle it, who handles all of the disposition of their buildings, and we can't get them to let go of it. So,
that makes sense. It's a building making no money, and we don't want to get rid of it. So.
Yeah, it's been frustrating
America.
because we've had, there aren't going to be a lot of uses for a building that old tucked back into an area that's hard to get to on the south end of Mattoon. It's going to be a unique user, and we had 2 unique users, and they just wouldn't negotiate. They wouldn't even talk about it.
That's frustrating, isn't it?
Yeah. On the other hand, we've got the former LSC Communications facility, which is empty and was purchased by Phoenix investors, and they've been very active and very much in touch with us about trying to bring businesses in. They said, in fact, Phoenix Investors is a company that buys up previously owned manufacturing facilities. They've bought property in Decatur and Galesburg and Rockford, and so this is their business model, and then they lease it to multiple tenants. And they said they have never had the amount of robust interest in a property newly acquired as they have had in that facility, a little over 1 million square feet in Mattoon. So we're hopeful before long there'll be some new tenants in that
That's
facility.
the old Donnelly's building, right? And, and there have been rumors of stuff going in there over the past few months. So hopefully you can call us and come back and tell us when that happens. All right. Then the eyesore in Mattoon again. This is obviously not the Coles Together's issue, but the Superior building there, which is close to GE, is just getting worse every day. Can anything actually be done with that? I mean,
Somebody has purchased that.
They have,
and they're using it for personal use. I think that they are repairing old farm equipment maybe in it. I could have that wrong, but no, that's been sold, and somebody's doing something in it.
There you go. Any other things that you said you were working on, but we've talked a lot about Mattoon, I guess, because I'm from Mattoon. What about Charleston? Is there things, any tidbits or stuff that you want to throw out there for Charleston besides what you talked
Safety
about?
Storage is planning a large expansion. We've met with them several times recently. That's the one I mentioned, that once they put the expansion on, then after they add their initial new jobs, they'd hope to even add an entire second shift. Most of the manufacturers that you see as you're driving north out of town, if you just look over to your right, it's now hiring, now hiring, now hiring. They're all hiring. And then, of course, with GDB going into the old Trammellville building, and GDB provides not just the obvious economic impact with the jobs and
Will be
the
spin-offs
capital
and stuff from that, you think?
And the spin-offs, like I said, they've already made purchases of professional services and surveyors and insurance, and they're looking at local contractors. But in addition to that, what they do is recycle industrial recyclables, metals primarily, and so they're going to be a potential outlet or source for companies. We've already talked with Mars Pet Care, with Safety Storage, with Mattoon Precision, who are sending their industrial waste out of the area at a substantial cost, and if there is a buyer locally that can take that, it'll decrease costs for a lot of our existing manufacturers as well.
That's really, really good news. That's double good news.
Yeah.
I have to ask again, not your issue, but one of the things that people talk about is the Hotel Convention Center between our cities, which just sits there. I call it the big white monstrosity. Have you heard any news of any good news or any news of what's happening there? I know it's been nothing but an eyesore for a while now.
We've stayed in touch with the developers there, and they are working very hard to put together a financing package. It's shifted over time, and we are hoping to be involved on the very final piece of that financing package that they anticipate having an answer on very soon. One piece of good news is we did, in the past month, reprocess enterprise zone applications for subcontractors who had not been working on site for a while, but who are now back on site doing work as they're trying to move it forward. So that's good news.
That's real good
folks
news.
are in there working, and we're hopeful, and a lot of it is confidential. I hate to say that because it seems like, that's a standard go-to line for Coles Together, but it is.
You broke some news that I can't expect you to break every bit of news here today, but
it's
But you have to be careful.
private financial information. So we're hoping that the final package that helps that project get across the finish line is going to include some resources that Coles Together or the Coles County CDC are going to put into it, and hopefully be hosting EIU events soon.
There you go. I like that thing. I think it's always relevant that downtown Mattoon and downtown Charleston continue to look good and upgrade, and both downtowns are really starting to look sharper than they were a few years ago. Does that make you happy from the Coles Together perspective when you're selling a county that both downtowns look well?
It sure does. I mean, it makes it a lot easier. When I just took a group on a tour 2 weeks ago, through both towns. And I do have to be honest, there are some locations that I find alternate routes for, but I don't have to do that as much anymore. And there's so much to showcase. I couldn't fit it all in the tour that I gave them. So it is really terrific. The beautification projects that are going on, the street signs, the sidewalks, the road improvements, taking down some of the wiring. I mean, it all makes it so much more aesthetically pleasing when we're bringing someone in and helping them understand that there is a tax base here that supports the infrastructure that's needed to keep communities running.
Kasey, you can answer this one first. What would you like to see come to Coles County if there's a business or a type of business?
That's a tough one.
I know. I had to throw you a tough one there.
I think I'm thinking about food because, I'm always thinking about food. But so my friends and I just had this conversation not very long ago. Like a really good bagel sandwich place would be so much fun to have, somewhere downtown in one of the areas. And I just think that it would attract a lot of people. We were talking about food places this morning and how location is so key when it comes to these two communities. And I think somewhere like that on the square, on either square, would be really nice where people can walk to it and things like that. And so my mind goes to food.
That's okay. Yeah. You answered the question. What about you? Anything you'd love to see besides 1,000-person manufacturing company tomorrow, right?
Well, with my Coles Together hat on, I'd love to see warehouse and distribution space because we get so many requests for warehouse and distribution space, and everybody's full. So that's the Coles Together hat. I guess the personal hat is, we were talking about some really unique, farm to table, maybe put them in an old church where there's some unique aesthetics around things like that will bring people in, combine it maybe with a brewery or winery kind of a thing, something that's a destination where it's not just people from our county, but people are willing to drive.
Okay. And then obviously the other thing that's happened, Rural King and the work they've done at the mall. I mean, how does that make you feel again? Great about our community?
Yeah, Rural King's a great partner in every sector, retail, manufacturing, distribution, supporting the community, supporting the hospital. They're a great partner. We work with a lot of their personnel on different boards and commissions that we serve on because they're also very active in the community. And so just having them involved in the mall brings an extra layer and level of professionalism and quality to what it is they're trying to do. And I think that because they're a retailer themselves, it makes it easier for them to, get doors opened when they're trying to recruit to Mattoon and to the mall.
We're talking with Coles Together's Kasey Considine and Angela Griffin. A little breaking news today. I'm going to let you repeat the breaking news for maybe people who tuned in a little bit later, but tell us about what's going to happen in Mattoon.
So we're looking forward to North American Lighting joining the corporate landscape in Coles County. They'll be probably arriving this fall with 30 to 40 new jobs, start production in the fall, and maybe eventually even adding up to 100 jobs and expanding by double the size of the facility that they're going to move into.
And when will the official release of all the other details about the facility, when will that be out? Do you have an idea?
I don't know that yet. I can't say. We're pushing the company ourselves because we'd like to have that good news get out too.
Oh, I bet. Will Coles County ever get a microbrewery? That's the other thing people ask me. We're one of the few counties of this many people that doesn't have their own microbrewery. Any thoughts?
I don't know of one on the horizon.
I don't either, but I definitely think it could be a possibility. I think the way, people are moving and thinking now, I think that even with a shift in mayor, that kind of thing, I think that it could definitely be in the horizon.
All right.
I would love to see one.
We're about out of time. I thank you ladies for coming in today. Real quickly, if someone wants to get a hold of Coles Together and ask you any questions or do some research about some of the things you talked about today, what's the easiest way?
Easiest way for me is mobile phone, 217-254-1369. I know that's a tough number to jot down if you're driving. My email is easy too, angela@colestogether.com.
Okay.
And all of that information's on our website as well.
All right. Thanks for coming in. Have a great day. Appreciate all the news, and we appreciate you breaking all the news today on WEIU.
You bet. Our pleasure.
We are WEIU. Everybody have a great day.